Hey guys, what's going on? It's Spot the Aussie here with the F1 Mod Challenge. Officially racing in the GP2 series. It is the end of the season where we start to develop the car, look at new drivers, look at new mechanics, look at new designers. Everything is popping and locking. We went with your recommendation, which is the race engineering team. So give us a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe for this series, because I actually think this is actually going to be a lot more interesting than the F1 mod season itself. We're going to be able to get our car off scratch and put all the weight in areas that we want to do, because we're going to be developing the car rather than having the car set for us at the start of the season. I am building a new scouting facility because I want to unlock the next tier of drivers I can possibly scout, because I've only got a little bit of a pool. We'll talk about that shortly. One of the most important things and overlooked items is the development of the car, and I always see a lot of other YouTubers who do this phase incorrectly or don't understand it, and then they don't maximize what they want out of the car for the season that they're walking into, and they're a bit of a step behind everyone else as a result. So let's just talk about this. For example, these 4 traits. Excuse me, what the hell was that? But let's talk about the 4 characteristic traits, because those things are often overlooked. The first one, and the biggest one on my list, number 1 priority, is improvability. Now, improvability is, you know, when you have an original component and then you build a new component and it goes up to good level, and then you build upon that good component, it goes great, and then it goes great to excellent, and then excellent to legendary. Improvability is how many base points that's going to increase. Not adding to the fact that, you know, when you build a new component, you get to pick like plus 10 in reliability, plus 10 in performance. Excluding that, this is when you build a new component, how much it goes up by. So 1 star equals 4 points. And for 1/4 of a star, that would mean it's 1 point. The more stars you have in improvability, the faster your car's going to get in relation to the competition. And that is big. That is a really, really big factor. It's like, you just need that more than anything else. I don't know, if I had a trait to only pick one thing to put stars in, it's going to be improvability all day, every day. Because then, when you go into the following season, you then stack improvability again, and you're leaping and bounding in front of other teams. You're trying to catch up, and that's essentially what you're doing. Tyre wear, fuel efficiency, and tyre heating are very different to improvability. Those 3 things can be categorized into the same sort of pool. Let's start with fuel efficiency. So fuel efficiency is obviously, the more fuel efficient the car is, the less fuel it uses in order to do a lap. But it's not that simple. It's not based upon how many stars you have, it's based upon everyone else in your competition. Out of the 10 teams, where are you? And it's broken up into thirds. The top 3 teams, the next 4, and then the last 3 teams. If you're on the top, the 4 teams in the middle are the base. So 1 lap of fuel equals to 1 lap, right? If you are in the top 3 teams, you essentially get to use 25% less fuel in order to do that 1 lap. That means that you could be doing more laps with less fuel, or potentially pushing it into overtake mode but using less fuel than the other teams that are on normal mode. That trait there, in my opinion, is a complete waste. In order to get into the top 3 teams, you essentially have to put everything into fuel efficiency just to bring it up. I'm fine with being at 2.5 stars and just being in that middle order, as long as you're not in that bottom bracket, which then falls back to like 1.25 rather than 125%. So you're using up way more fuel in order to do 1 lap, or putting it on board in regards to your metric system. Tyre heating is the optimum range for which the tyre is sitting at the balanced performance. You know how you have the tyre heat and the temperature? If you start to push the tyre, or go into push mode with your driving style, how long does it sit there? How long does it sit in the optimum mode before it really starts to peak? Better tyre heating means it will sit in there. Same as if you went to conserve mode, how long before it completely peaks or spirals down into the cold mode, that you're starting to grain on the tyres and the tyres are starting to wear up with a lack of performance. So having that in the middle is also good, but not necessarily the best thing, because if that means you have to do 1 extra stop, that's fine. Improvability still beats all. Tyre wear is a bit more obvious. It's basically how much you can get out of a tyre. You see, when you go into a practice or a qualifying or before the race, you click on a tyre and it says tyre will last 5 laps. If you have more stars in there or more points, then basically that will mean that it will be, obviously, you get more laps out of that single tyre as a base to begin with. So that's something to consider. But for me, improvability above all. That pretty much explains it. Second, I think it's a toss-up between tyre wear and fuel efficiency. Thirdly, tyre heating. I feel like I can, adjust the driver method of racing, whether it be aggressive, conservative enough to try to get them in the right temperature for the rest of the race. And sometimes it's not that simple when you're picking components. Like, for example, the 4 that you get to pick out of is engine supplier, fuel supplier, material supplier, brake supplier. Engine supplier, there's 4 different engine suppliers here. Mecachrome, Renault, Ferrari, Mercedes-Benz. Now, on face value, you would sit there and instantly say, well, that would mean that the one for $12 million is the best. But not necessarily in this case. You see, what's happening right now is that we have 3 traits: fuel efficiency, improvability, and base stat modifier. Base stat modifier does absolutely nothing for our car. Why? In GP2, it's a stock standard engine. Everyone has the same engine. So if I was to spend more money in order to get a higher base stat, there's no advantage to that. All I'm doing is literally throwing money out the window. For example, if I was between Mecachrome and Renault, I could pay $9 million or $3 million, and they'd have the same fuel efficiency and improvability. Both very weak and both weak, except the stat modifier. For 11 points in stat modifier, it is $9.4 million more. So I'm at a bit of a crossroad. Do I spend 12.2 mil on weak and strong for improvability and fuel efficiency, or do I go medium and medium and deal with the fact that there's +6 modifiers, so it's up to 7.4 mil? So I went with the 7.4 mil. In terms of cost money and how much it's going to be for us, I can't justify spending $5 million more to get from medium to strong in improvability. You know what I mean? I'd love to be able to do it, I just can't justify it. Fuel supplier is another one where we're looking at improvability trumps all. So again, I've got the 3.5 million mark. I could go Petronas. I'm not going to go with Petronas. I just $500,000 more, and it just doesn't give me the traits that I want. I just want to keep stacking improvability. The other thing that I have to mention is in F1, these bottom right hand columns, the rear package and nose height, you'd be able to adjust them, and therefore if you stacked one trait with fuel efficiency, you could adjust the rear package and it would actually pull down fuel efficiency and pull up tyre wear. In GP2, that's not the case, so we have to actually pick what we want. So mobile one is going to be the fuel supplier. Material supplier, I've gone with tyre wear strong, weak for tyre heating. It's the best of the best there, and it's going to pretty much benefit our tyre wear a little bit more. But again, I just want improvability more than anything. And for this other one, this trait, tyre wear versus tyre heating, I've got in medium. I don't really care about tyre heating so much. I care about tyre wear a lot more. For $3 million, which is half as what I'd pay for the Magnet Morelli, definitely worth it. So this is going to cost us 24.9, whereas I'd see a lot of other YouTubers, they'd pick the Mercedes-Benz engine for 12 mil. They would pick the Petronas. They would pick the most expensive of them all and not understand what they're actually buying. So 24.9 mil in pounds is actually really well. And the other thing is, because I've got a financial background as an accountant, or as a finance person, I get a bit of a discount as well. So that's going to put us still in the green, and that's our car underway for our first design. So I'm really happy with that. The other thing I want to note is, what will happen is in the design phase between 0 to 100% when you go through the calendar, you'll generally have 2 scenarios. The scenarios will be like, we have a dilemma where they will say, for fuel efficiency, a laboratory has come up with 1 million with a new fuel for our car that will work better. However, it will cost us $2 million to get 1+ star in fuel efficiency. So it's really important, if you're picking your car, don't pick anything that's going to push you into the 5 stars, because you might get that ability to improve it to 5 stars if you leave it at 4, by paying the $2 million, which is a lot cheaper than any other alternative. When these scenarios come up, you definitely always want to buy them. You always want to pay to get those two things. It's usually two things, if you remember. We will push the calendar forward, but it's really important because last season in another season, I had 4.5 stars in fuel efficiency, and then a dilemma like that came up, and I couldn't justify paying $2 million for only benefiting half a star because it would have maxed out. So it's important that if you are one of those top tier teams, stack it to about 4 stars and then work from there. Alright, our first offer is back. It's from Alexander Rossi, who's also a GP2 racer. I'll put up his Wikipedia page up here because I actually did a bit of research. I thought he might have been the son of Valentino Rossi, the MotoGP racer. Not the case, but I'll put it up there. So the actual mod itself has actually linked a lot of drivers, even though they might not necessarily be in this particular championship. But he's not happy with our first offer. He said that his wages aren't very important to him, so he wanted to immediately get a bit of a boost there, and I only offered $132,000. He wants more, and I don't want to risk annoying him where he's not going to sign up, so I'm going to offer $211,000. And the reason why I want him is simply because he is a paid driver. He would pay us $495,000 should he get the contract. The other thing is, we are going to get sponsorship offers. Another mistake I always see people do is, they see an offer, they go, oh, brilliant, good offer, and sign up. You will get a maximum 3 offers in each slot that adjust nothing for you until you do your first race. So it's better to wait until your first race or the day before the race actually starts or the race weekend starts and sign up the best offer rather than, go with the first thing that's thrown at you, because these are great. They're 1 star because, look, our traits are really poor with sponsorship appeal with our 2 drivers. The reality is they're only going to get better. So make sure you play smart and you're making the most of what you possibly can. Here's another weird one. I've got the Tom Orland, who is a race mechanic, I believe, and he's kind of saying he's insulted. I looked at his existing contract at $43,000, gave him a bit of a pay upgrade to $44,000. It's not much, completely understand that, but I'm surprised that he's insulted, given that he's a GP3 staff member and not a GP2, so it'd be a bit of an upgrade to the main game. So I might try to offer him just a little bit more. He's got all the traits that we want, so it'd be a really good signing for us. I just want to make sure that we're not going to be bending a whim and absolutely getting screwed over here by playing silly buggers and paying, completely going over the top. Alrighty, so good news. We've got Alexander Rossi, who's definitely going to sign up for $211,000. We've got him on for a 2-year contract. His details are aggressive driver, paid driver, $495,000. So ultimately, he's going to be paying us. Well, his sponsors are going to be paying us for each race, and that's huge because we need more money to turn over good parts, to build better facilities, at least in GP2, because we're in a bit of a struggle. His rehab addiction ends in 3 weeks, so his traits are going to go back up. And although we're replacing, either NATO or Icon or even King, we're not going to sign up any of those guys. I honestly believe that if we could get the next scout building up ready in time, that we could possibly scout like a Bruno Senna, a Pastor Maldonado, or whoever it potentially unlocks for us to get our little mitts on. So it's really important that we try to sign someone who's going to be beneficial in the long run. We might struggle in the first race as a result, but that's okay. We can stack Rossi's car in the meantime. But who are we going to get rid of? It really doesn't matter. We're going to get rid of NATO at this stage. This is exactly what I was talking about. Here's the dilemma. It's urgent car improvability from Sebastian Vigor, lead designer. Me and a few of the engineers are worried about the car's improvability over the course of the season. We've had a few preliminary talks with the engine supplier, and they think they could help us out for a price, of course. I can pick an option that's been on my mind too. Transactions 1.5 mil for +1 in improvability. That is huge. So a car at the moment is 2.5 stars, and that would bump us up to that mark. So we're definitely going to spend that money. 1.5 mil. Let's have a bit of a look. Plus we get the discount because of my finance background. And look at that. See how big and how dramatic that is? The fact that you get an improvability trait upsize like that for 1.2 mil is way more worth than you possibly pay during the development phase. So if you're developing a car and you've used all your money plus the excess cash, because you can usually use up to about $5 million in the negative, in the red. If you use all that money up, That's going to be bad for you because you won't be able to get those situations and those scenarios and make the most out of it. I paid 1.5 mil to improve the car an extra star where it would usually cost like 4 mil to even emulate anything similar to that. So that's a big plus. A bit of a slight juncture. We've got 2 offers to race mechanics and 2 accepted. Well, we offered a lot of people. We've got 2 people who have accepted. Alex Gray, who's got 3 stars but 5-star potential. But look at her traits. If we compare her to the person who we're looking up against is Janet, there's a huge difference. Janet Murphy has 17 in concentration. Concentration is the likelihood of a mistake happening. So the lower your trait is, the more likely a mistake will occur. And the big thing is, mistakes can usually cost you 8 to 9 to 10 seconds. So I can probably go with Janet and go with a fast pitch stop strategy and know that she's not going to get pulled back in regards to having a mistake. Part fixes is 10. Now, I don't think we're going to be fixing many components during races. It's only in the first couple of races, and then after that, most of the components are like 100% reliability. You don't necessarily need it. Pit stops are faster for Janet Murphy. Reliability, 19. This is huge because remember when you put factory, you've got to put 1 lead mechanic on reliability and performance. If we put Janet Murphy in reliability, that will benefit us greatly because she'll be able to fix the parts a lot faster than anyone else, given that the fact she's 19. Chemistry 7, that's not too bad. That is the relationship between the mechanic and the driver. Relationships equal your mechanic bonuses that they can unlock, which for her is light-footed intermediate tires and nurse versus light-footed medium tires and super overtake mode. Now, given the fact that we don't care about those traits because we usually get 15% in race bonus performance for the tires and also the race trim, we're not really concerned about that for our team. That is going to be huge for us. Who do we want to break? I want to break off Thomas Lasis because, yeah, look at him. He struggles. 2 stars. Nothing really happening for him there, and that's going to work out for us really well. I'm okay with Alan Queel sitting on the team for a little bit longer, so we've now replaced him. It's going to cost us a little bit of a pocket money for us, but that's okay. That's a good signing for us. I've actually decided to sign up our second mechanic, and it's actually going to be Kai Gosselin, and let's have a look at his traits and kind of describe why I want to grab him. He actually works really well in conjunction with Alex Gray, who we just signed up. So a minute ago, I was bouncing up between Alex Gray and Janet. I ended up going up with Alex Gray. I just feel like she's overall better. It's going to be better for us anyway because she's got the potential to go further. The biggest thing here is Kai and Alex Gray work well together. The 2 traits I'm talking about is reliability and performance. Alex Gray, you have to always set a lead mechanic to work on performance, reliability, and you can switch them around. Alex Gray is going to work on performance. Her stats are 18, while Kai Gosselin is at 19. So if I sign up Kai, he's just going to be the head mechanic of reliability, and Alex Gray is going to be the head mechanic of performance. They've both got 5-star potential, so they're going to grow on us as the team goes. I've got him up for a really good price because he's currently unemployed, which is a little bit cheaper than Alex Gray, I believe, at least in regards to the bonuses, not so much the original sign-up, but that's a good sign for us. I'm happy to have done that. I know I was tossing up between getting Janet Murphy, but I feel like she could be dusted very shortly, given her age, and she could retire on us mid-season. So that's a good pickup for us as well. Unfortunately, it's going to cost us quite a bit of a penny to do that, but well worth it, I think, in this championship. Here is the second dilemma that we've got. Remember I said there's going to be 2 scenarios. This one's for tyre wear. 1.5 mil, and we're going to get +1 in tyre wear. That is absolutely going to be huge for us, so I'm going to definitely sign that one up. It's going to cost us, again, another bit of a hit to the pocket, but guess what? Look at our car now. 3.5 stars in improvability, almost 4 stars in tyre wear. Tyre heating is at back in 2.5. Fuel efficiency is at 2.5, and that's going to put us in the mid pack for those traits. As for the livery, what are we going to pick? Livery on the wall. I actually do like the original look. It's alright. It's not bad. It's not great. I think that looks a little bit better. Alright guys, I think I've found the design I like. It's number 3. It's sticking with the primary colors of the car. I think that's just a really nice finish. It's really simple. I'm one of those guys who likes 2 color breaks. I don't like when it's 3 or when they're chopping and changing or anything fancy. I think that really suits our look and suits our car. So I'm just going to stick with that look. That is a finished livery for us. And remember, red cars go faster. Pre-season test. that they do. I don't particularly like how they do this. I would much prefer if there was a little bit of something that we would go out to a track and you'd be rewarded more points or better reliability, provided upon how you did in a practice session, how many laps you were doing. This simulator's alright. It pops up with notes to say this car was struggling, they had a bit of an issue with the car. Your driver effectively loses morale depending upon how the session they went. For example, Rossi went 9th, he did 14 laps, he did 159.4, which is like 6 seconds slower than Grosjean, Werlein, Ocon, Kvyat, Bernstoff, PK got picked up by a team? Really? Evans, Lynn, Gutierrez. So, you know, we've struggled a little bit, and as a result, they lose morale. If this actually affects the car anyway, I'm not actually sure. Like, does it affect the fact that when we finish, the car will be better in regards to reliability upon how that session went? Our car is still third best on the grid. Haas has been dropped. Haas has officially been dropped. Remember, Sauber was losing when we were racing with them, but maybe Haas had elected to fall behind Sauber, or Haas basically didn't have enough points anyway, so you'd have to finish in the top 10 in order to get a point. Maybe they just didn't get a point, and they were the team to drop. So Haas has dropped down, which is going to be Grosjean, and it looked like there was a bit of a driver switch there as well. Let's have a look at the guys in GP2 this season. So Romain Grosjean, Gutierrez are representing Haas, and their traits, wow, 3 and a bit stars for both drivers, and they probably have the best car on the grid. Let's have a look. Overall, Haas is second. Manor is first. So even though Haas dropped down, Manor's still better. Our car is third. Acceleration-wise, we are first. Number 1, uno muno. Third for brakes. Fourth for front wing. Suspension is third. Rear wing is third as well. So the car is pretty good. It's not a bad car. We're just about to finish our headquarters in 2 days, which means we can start scouting other drivers in the second tier, which is going to unlock the more famous names that we know, like the Sennas, the Bruno Senna, there's not Anton Senna, RIP. That will be interesting, but right now we have to start building parts for our car. Now, the funny thing is, when it comes to designing the car, let's just make sure that we set the first things right, that we definitely have Alex Gray working as the chief mechanic, so she gets plus 0.9, whereas Gosling would only get 0.5, and Kay Gosling gets 1% chief mechanic impact for reliability. That's, of course, the traits that we spoke about much earlier, and the whole idea here is just to fix the things that we really need to fix. Engine's fine, we do not need to touch that, so that's a big bonus for us. Gearbox is the first thing I do want to touch. The reason, because that is, when you go to fix a gearbox, it takes like 16 to 27 seconds of pit stop in order to do that. So if we get the little things correct, which is going to be that gearbox to start off with, it's going to help us. Unfortunately, we're going to struggle to get our car in a really good zone to begin with. So what I'm going to do is, I'm only going to fix one car. Remember, we only have one good driver, which is Rossi. We're going to stack his car completely. And the whole idea here is to stack the components that we need. So, acceleration, front brake, and front wing. And you got to remember, because only the top 6 cars get points, we just want to make sure one driver does well. We don't care about the other guy. The other guy could lose morale, whinge, whine, complain, jump upside down, jump inside out, whatever. But the main thing is that we're just prepping this car where it needs to be. And everything else is 41, 47, 49. So we're going to fix suspension first. It's looking a little bit rickety. Design new components. What do we want to design first? We don't have to design a new gearbox. This is good. Where can we improve the most? More importantly, what's going to be the second race I should have a look at? So, front wing, front wing, front wing, front wing, front wing, front wing, front wing. So, the first 5 or so races are front wing based. So, obviously, the first thing we're going to improve is our front wing. 25 to max. I'm actually going to pick 20 plus for straight off the get-go, because it will be too hard to kind of improve everything in the shop to get it underway. And that's simply because it just takes so long in order to get things up and running, with the fact that we only have too many cars. What's our target? First, I'm going to go balls to the wall, first place. Give us 2.46 mil. I'm not worried about missing our target, because I feel like we can get up there. We can potentially get up there. It might take a few races. The scout facility is finished as well. So that's the other thing we want to look at. Let's get rid of the guys who are currently scouting because we don't want any of those guys. We don't care about them. Let's get all these guys out of the queue. We've got 4 slots available, 4 drivers to pick from. And who's that unlocked? Who is that unlocked? Because every time you build a new scout center, it unlocks new drivers for you to scout. So let's have a look. Aurelian Panis, which is going to be Alain Pronis' son. Bruno Senna is Anton Senna's nephew, as we've seen him in Formula 1. As you know, Aurelian races in the, what's it called? It's like the electronic Formula 1 cars. Who else do we want to look at? I'm only looking at famous names, because we want to keep in contention with this being the F1 one. Giuliano Alesi. Is that Jean Alesi's son? Okay, the more you know. Giuliano Alesi is, in fact, I'm reading it right now, is Jean Alesi's son. He's 17. He races for Trident Racing, and he's got several siblings, including one called John Alesi. So there's his dad, Jean Alesi, and John Alesi. Who else can we have a look at? Who else do we recognize? Do you guys, let me know in the comment section below, is there anyone who you notice? Kobayashi. I'm 99.99% sure that Kobayashi is indeed that driver who was a bit of a mock driver who didn't do so well. But, yeah, I don't think he's going to be the guy to pick. I think, look at his traits without even flicking on them. They look like a bit of a disaster, but we'll keep him in there. Who else is there to kind of look up? I'm really hoping Pastor Maldonado is unlocked. Is there anyone who I've missed who you guys immediately recognize and just my kind of lack of... Jimmy Eriksson. That must be Marcus Ericsson's son? Or relative? Lucas de Grassi? No way. They actually went out of their way to put him in the game. Max Chilton? Fair enough. Berthan, Nicholas Nelson. And what I'm going to do here is... I'm specifically going to... Pastor Maldonado. Pastor Maldonado. Pastor. Is he there? No. It is alphabetical, right? A, B, C, D, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. Right, so the 4 drivers I'm definitely going to scout. Bruno Senna, Kumura Kobayashi, Lucas de Grassi, and Max Chilton. Chilton and de Grassi are actually the better drivers. Chilton's 25. Look at those traits. They're not that bad. They're actually pretty good. And the fact that he's only 25 means he will only improve. And I imagine there's a bit more to him in terms of personality traits, driver traits that we can't see. De Grassi's actually really up there as well. So they're much better than Bruno Senna. Bit of a surprise. But we'll just wait and see. How many races are we not going to have a second tier driver? Potentially 2. This might be a bit of a problem. But remember, we're happy to stack Alexander Rossi's car with the better car anyway to begin with, just to make sure he gets across the line. So this will work in our favour to some degree. Lining up Rossi to make sure he gets his tyre and brake temp in the window. Perfect tyre temp. Good brake temp. Not great, good. So he's starting his lap now. Guang is now doing another lap. Hopefully he can get around in time. I don't think that's going to be the case. He's currently 11th, so he definitely did improve on his time. Let's watch as Rossi goes around, because this is going to be an important lap for him. Can he improve on 5th? 5th is actually a really good result for us. It's in the top 6. Remember, the top 6 are the pointy end of the field. It's where the points are. He's improved on his first sector. He's down by 0.559. Let's look at that second sector. Can he go a little bit faster? Yes, he's up at the second sector as well. If he can finish off here and potentially snatch that 4th position, that would be amazing. He goes a little bit quicker, but not quick enough. He's down by 0.005 seconds from Stroll. That is like not even that much of a distance. Guang is actually doing a lap as well, but he's been held up or something's happened, or I've used bad tyres just to get him to circulate. But Grosjean gets pole position for the start of the year. Whoa, guys, look at that. It is a downpoury, stormy, wet Singapore race. It was forecasted to be sunny. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, it is absolutely downpouring out there for us. Look at that dampness. It's going to be a wet track by at least lap 8, 9-ish. And then it's going to be intermediate. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to send both cars out on wet tyres, but I'm only going to set them out with about 10 laps of fuel. Let's make it 9 laps of fuel for Rossi. We'll do 10 laps for the other car, because I feel like by lap 9 we're going to pit anyway, come out on those intermediate tyres, and I think this is going to work for us really well, actually. Setups are good, we've got good track position with both cars relatively. We might do 9 laps for Guang. We'll go 9 laps. And we'll go full wets as well. It's going to be a good race. From the start, we're going to go to attack mode to begin with, because these tyres, let's just have a second look at these. These wet tyres generally will last 14 to 16 laps, and we're not going to be running 14 to 16 laps. So from the get-go, we can go into full attack mode to begin with. This is going to be exciting stuff. I'm really looking forward to it. Let's look at our leaderboard. How did qualifying finish up? That's the big question. Grosjean on pole position. Bet you didn't think you'd ever hear that, but yes, you have Wehrlein in second. There is third place for Rossi. Gutierrez is fourth. We have fifth place for Daniil Kvyat, Manor Racing, 6th position for Lance Stroll, yada yada yada. Who cares about the other guys? It's going to be race underway. So how's Rossi going to get off the line? I'm going to put him into high mode to begin with. Hopefully he gets a great jump here. Does he do it? He's going to be on the outside for the first corner. That's not going to be good at all. I do not like starting out on the outside of the track, of any track in particular in this game, because they always seem to get screwed up around this part of the track. He's down in a 5th position, so he's starting to be... he's being eaten out there alive, and now he's going to get paint swapped all the way back into 6th. Look how slow everyone's having to navigate their way through the pack. That's because there's so many other cars out there. Guang's up into 12th/11th position. He's done a great job for us thus far. Rossi's now back up into 5th. That's where we wanted to see him. Let's get this race up into race phase mode. We are pushing. We're into driving style, into attack mode, just to get the temperatures up. We're in 3rd position now. Looks like Gutierrez and Grosjean are actually fighting. So Grosjean's been the biggest loser out of everyone so far, because he started on pole and he's all the way back into 4th. Not a great start for him. Wehrlein is kind of raced away from everyone. No surprise there. There's a couple of lockups from the other drivers. It shouldn't affect them too much, because like I said, it is going to get drier sooner than later. He's saying he needs to pit for intermediates. I know what's best for him. If we pit for intermediates now, it's not going to work for him. In 2 to 3 laps, it's going to be absolutely atrocious out there. And the gaps are now starting to pick up. Wehrlein's now got a 6-second gap over Stroll. Then there's us, 0.4 seconds behind. We're now starting to push. Let's start to look after this car a little bit better and go into high mode. We'll do the same with Guang. We'll push for as long as we possibly can, because although while the track will be soaked, it does take a little bit longer to get drier. And that's a huge pass by Grosjean. Grosjean just completely nosedived us, or just dive bombed us from the outside and went right around us while we were attacking Stroll. So far from gaining a spot, Rossi's actually lost a spot, and that little bit of a tiff that he's had with those two drivers. Let's have a look at the power conditions. His car's looking alright. We've set his car up fine because we gave him all the reliable components and we fixed all his components and just focused on his car. No one else's. Look at that. Rossi's now back into Grosjean. He dive bombed on the outside. Exact same move that Grosjean pulled off earlier. And that's huge. It's because they just can't get past Stroll. Stroll's been able to hold up this pack quite well and defending like a beast. But that means that every time we go into attack mode, we become vulnerable. And that's a scary thought. We want to get by Stroll. He seems to be struggling out there compared to everyone else, compared to Grosjean and Rossi and Gutierrez, who seem to be gaining. We just want to get by him. That gap to the lead, Wehrlein, is now out to 11 seconds. That is huge. That is really big. That is unbelievably big. Start to look after those tyres a little bit more. We're just getting into the eye of the storm right now as well. Guang's in 12th position still. That's surprising. He's the worst track driver out on the track by far, yet seems to be doing a decent job for us. Can we get that spot? It doesn't seem to be working for us. No matter what we do, if we go into attack mode, just can't make it happen anytime soon. It's really surprising me that we can't get this to happen. Tyres are fine at 62%, even though we're going to keep pushing. We might wind them back into neutral mode for a little bit while the race pans out. I think we're fine with the strategy that we're on. There we go. There's another dive bomb from Grosjean. It's just a fight between us three, and while us three are fighting, Wehrlein's been able to get out ahead. Meanwhile, Gutierrez is going to be buying into this battle very shortly. And I'm surprised there hasn't been any crashes yet, despite a very rainy street circuit. Street circuits usually pull out safety cars in these weather. Usually they have to call off the races because of this weather, but that's not the case here. Back in the third position, we got past Grosjean. Gutierrez is brought into the back of this battle pack. No one can get by Stroll. For whatever reason, Stroll is just like an immovable wall. He's like Donald Trump building a wall in Mexico. You just can't... It's not there yet, and you can't see it, but it's stopping all the Mexicans from crossing the border. And that's kind of like what's happening with us right now. What the hell do we do? Well, there's nothing we can really do at the moment. I'm pushing these tyres as much as I possibly can, but in a lap, we're going to have to pit, definitely. So, I'm actually going to push the engine into overtake mode to hopefully gain a little bit here, because this track is still rain-soaked. And everyone's starting to come in now. Did Wehrlein? Are we catching Wehrlein? No, he's actually coming in. We might want to come in now as well then. That's worked out for us pretty well. We're going to be in line with everyone else pitting. Could we do possibly one more lap? I don't think it's going to be worth it. The fact that the track is drying out that significantly just would be ridiculous for us. Fast stop, park condition. Do I want to fix the front wing? 4.1 seconds. I don't want to add that on, but let's do it anyway. Let's add on 4.1 seconds to fix that. Nah, let's just... It's only going to fix it 12%. We can fix it next time. How many laps of fuel do we need? We need to get to lap 17, lap 18. That means we'll do 11 laps of fuel. And, but that will put us up to 12 laps of fuel. Adding that much. And that will be perfect for us to go to intermediates. We're going to do the same with Guang. Intermediate tyres, pitch strategy fast, park condition. And let's not fix anything just yet. Same similar thing, 12 laps of fuel. He's going to come in and make the most of that as well. And it will be interesting to see the end of this race. So we used up those tyres as much as they possibly can be. We're going to be coming in the pits at third. Haas is going to have to double stack because of the way their cars are now lined out. And will we come out ahead of everyone? That is the big question. How much laps of fuel did they have? Stroll's rolled out. We're now rolling out. Grosjean's rolled out ahead of us. That's really disappointing from our guys. It was a good stop. I just feel like they potentially had more fuel on board, so they didn't have to put as much in. So we were faster in that first stint simply because we didn't have as much fuel. And now Guang's in. Guang's in the pits now. He's going to be rolling out. Hopefully he's gained a couple of spots while in that mix. A couple of the other cars having to come in to double stack as well. He comes out in the 12th position. The track is still relatively damp, and we're now all over the back of this battle pack. Where is Gutierrez? Gutierrez has lost out because of the double stacking. He would have lost out even more had he not have done that. But the main thing is, we just want to get past these two guys. Grosjean, ooh, look at that. Grosjean's gone past Stroll. Can we go past Stroll? Let's go into complete overtake mode and make it happen now rather than wait. Rossi just posted the second fastest sector of this race. And now he's on the outside. He's going to be on the inside for turn one. So the main thing is we're keeping Grosjean within our sights. Now, if we can push a bit of a gap away, I'll then pull the car back from overtake mode. I just want to make sure we're in a good headspace. Gutierrez is now posting the fastest lap, going back into medium mode. Good stuff so far. Worked out in our favour really well. We're on the podium. Wehrlein 12 seconds ahead. I don't think many people are going to be threatening him. That's okay. Stroll into overtake mode, but conserve mode with his driving style, and we're pulling away from him. So he's definitely slower than us. And we're definitely slower than Grosjean. Grosjean's now pushing away. We just want to play it safe. We want to play it smart and safe. Make sure all of our components are within working order, and pit when we need to. This, at the end of the race, will be war of attrition. Mark my words. Looks like Rossi's just said the front wing seems to be damaged. We're going to ignore that for now. In the next pit stop, we are going to fix it. One of the parts that we did not put a lot of emphasis on reliability was the front wing. And that's worked out for us because it's the quickest part to fix. Even though it's a crucial component, it is the quickest component to fix. And by stacking brakes, suspension, rear wing, we won't have to fix those components, only the front wing. If we have to fix the front wing twice this race, that's fine. I'm happy to lose 4.7 seconds compared to what everyone else will be losing. The main thing is, we can do another 6 laps before we have to pit with a 20% component for a front wing. I'm sure that's possible. Thing is, if we pit now, we lose out too much because we'll have to pit again in 4 laps when the track dries out. So we want to make good use of these tyres while they're still fit and keep that within our strategy. We are going to risk it for the biscuit. The fact of the matter is, we're only going to have to do 2 more laps or 3 more laps out on these tyres. If we pit it now for a front wing, we'd then have to pit again 3 laps in time to change the tyres to dries. If we came out on dries now, that wouldn't work either because we'd be absolutely screwed. So it's important that we push the car as much as we possibly can and then pit. If we can close this gap, well, look at that. We are actually closing that gap quite dramatically, aren't we? That gap is now down to 2 seconds to Grosjean, and from Grosjean to Wehrlein, it's now down to 7 seconds and closing. Remember, that gap used to be 10 seconds to both of us, so that's worked out hugely in our favour. Not surprisingly, that strategy's paid off to some degree. Wehrlein, why is he struggling? Is he just not getting the grip out of the tyres? He's probably going into conserve mode because a couple of his components are struggling at the moment. And let's just get this to slow down a little bit. We will have to do 1 more lap. Now, the key thing is, Ocon is now down into 17th. I actually want to watch how he drives with those soft compounds. The track is still wet enough that him... Well, let's watch Daniil Kvyat. That will be an even bigger tale. Daniil Kvyat's going to come out for soft tyres. How's Ocon's time? Is he losing out to everyone else because he's on those compounds? I think so. It's starting to get to that point where it's now drying up enough for us to have to pit. Everyone else ahead is going to pit anyway. The gap is still 6 seconds, 2 seconds to us. Let's pit now for those parts. Set him up into the pits. So, we can't go to softs because it will only last 13 laps. So super soft tyres, fuel options, 6.64 just to get in. Fast stop. Fix that front wing for sure. I don't want to fix anything else. We don't want to slow down the stop at this stage. We want to try and get ahead of Grosjean as soon as we come out. If he's fixing any components, that's going to be a huge benefit to us. As the same with Guang, let's start to fix his car. Come out in the super soft tyres, park condition. Let's fix everything. Now, the reason why I'm deciding to fix everything now is because if I fix everything now, that means essentially that when after the race happens, the mechanics have to take days to fix the car. If it's already 100%, one of the cars is already 100% fixed, they won't have to adjust for anything. As for fuel, let's get that back up to 4.8, and then we'll finish on the soft compounds for him. That's why we're doing that. His race is already over. The main thing is, we're watching this pit stop. How are we going to come out in comparison to the guys around us? Are we going to lose a time? Everyone seems to have come in the pits. Grosjean's coming out. Rossi's coming out. Wehrlein is already out. Gutierrez is now just in the pit lane himself. Stroll. Everyone has a mechanical issue, except for us. We don't have any blinking lights. Wehrlein doesn't either. Nor does Grosjean. They've both fixed their car. We're only 5 seconds behind Grosjean, and we can make this... We can actually get this to work. We could possibly catch him and then get around them both. I think they're both into conserve mode because they're worried about their cars braking. The park condition deteriorates faster while you're in a more aggressive or into overtake mode for the engine. That's a little bit of common sense, but a cool added feature for this game. That just means it makes our job a little bit easier chasing. Rossi's setting the fastest first sector, fastest personal best sector for the second lap. Wehrlein does the fastest lap of the race just then, so that was really big by him in order to do that. We do a 1:37, so we're up to Wehrlein's pace, but we're 2 seconds or so faster, or 1.5 seconds faster than Grosjean. So the gap to Grosjean should be closing, if anything, and it looks like it is. It's down to 3 seconds. Wehrlein's now picking up his pace. He should have this race in the bag. Now, I'm focusing on our Rossi driver. Hopefully... Oh, Daniil Kvyat has a mechanical issue. That... He's out of the race anyway. He's all the way back in 6th position. The main thing in there is that he's Wehrlein's teammate, which means because he's out of the top 6, his team will not get that many Constructor Championship points. Rossi now is on a bit of a charge. We want to try to get him up there as fast as possible. I don't want to push the car because I feel like if we push the car, that's going to be scary for us in regards to finishing the race. So it's really important that we just stick to our strategy, let the cards fall to our favor, and see if anything happens of it. The gap to Grosjean is increasing slightly as he's now pushing away, but I'd imagine his engine and his gearbox is going to start to struggle when it comes to the end of this race. Wehrlein's now too far ahead. Gutierrez has just come into the pits. He was right behind us. He didn't need to stop for tyres. He's got a mechanical issue, and I think that's forced him to stop. We now have a bit of a park ignition as well, and that is the brakes. I'm willing to risk it and keep him out there. I want to go to a complete attack mode and start to push. We're under no threat from 4th. That's the reality. We don't have to push, but I feel I'm getting a little bit greedy. I feel like we could get a second here. Grosjean has a technical issue. Not sure what it could be. Ours is only the brakes. Brakes take 4.2, 4.7 seconds to fix. His, if it's a gearbox, will take much longer. So the thing for us now is push this car as much as it possibly can and then pit when we need it to. So let's just push from here. When we go past the line again, it will be lap 27, so there will be 8 laps to go. So we might have to go to soft tyres. That's fine. That's not going to be a drama. That just means we'll have excess tyres to push at the last bit of this race. And we're going to pit now instead of waiting for it to be a bit of a worry. Looks like Hughes is now just retired. That's not a surprise there. Main thing is Grosjean going to pit? Yeah, he's going to pit now. Let's pit as well and come in here for 7 laps of fuel. Is not going to be enough, is it? It's a big difference. Slightly difference in performance. So let's just go to the soft tyres. Fuel load, we need enough fuel. That's going to slow us down as well. It's going to be 6.7 seconds, so a lot more than I thought. Fast strategy. Will we fix anything else? Nah, let's not. It's only going to be a quick finish to the end line. So I'm happy to go around, get him in the pits, see what happens of it. Hopefully, Grosjean has to have a much longer stop for his park conditions. Who knows? He might have a really slow mechanic. There he goes. As I was saying that, he now rolls out of the pits. Where is Stroll in relation to us? Under no threat. So what we're going to do from here is, we are just going to go around. We're not going to try to set lap records. We literally just want to go around and get our car to finish. We've just run out of fuel for this guy, so we're just going to pit. Get tyres in there, new tyres. Pit strategy, balance fast. Get everything fixed again. That's going to take him forever. It's going to destroy his morale, but yeah. Laws are bad. Fuel stop for Rossi. It's slowed him down a little bit. So the game is now, the race is now completely wound down. Unless Wehrlein has a huge mistake where a tyre blows and it ruins his car, or Grosjean does something silly, we are going to be finishing on the podium in 3rd position. That's a really great start for us. Remember, Rossi's going to be our 2nd tier driver. Looks like Grosjean's come back in the pits. He must have had another mechanical issue that he's had to have fixed by the time he's come in. Does that mean we're going to be able to leapfrog 2nd position? How long is the pit stop? He's just come out ahead of us. Lance Stroll has now also retired. He was in 4th position. We could possibly push. We could actually push Grosjean. He's pitted for tyres. He's gotten those fixed. But he's had a mechanical issue that he's had to fix. He still has an existing mechanical issue. This might work in our favour. Can we push? If I push, it's going to deteriorate the car much faster. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to wait till about lap 31, lap 32 before we start to push. I don't want to get greedy. I don't want to get too greedy. We've been greedy enough in order to get us up there. Let's just see how this pans out. And see how much slow we're going to be. Wehrlein at the moment sets the fastest 2nd sector. It's probably going to be the fastest lap of the race. There we go. He's still going faster as the race goes on. He's 3 seconds lap faster, in fact. Grosjean pitted and still came out ahead. He did 2 stops in relation to our 1 stop and still came out ahead just because of the way he's been racing. Johnny Citiotto now has another mechanical issue. A lot of people are starting to tear away. It would be absolutely amazing if something happened to Wehrlein. Look at that. He's now got a mechanical little blink. It's blinking away. What we are going to do is we are going to go into conserve mode. If we go into conserve mode, it doesn't put as much strain on these components. We have no threat from 4th position. He's basically a lap down. 2nd position is pushing away from us. I'm not going to get greedy and push him. I'm hoping that something works out in our favor here and that his car basically collapses on him. We do not have enough pace to pull back a 12-second gap. So if we go back into conserve mode, I've got no concerns that the car is going to blow by the end of the race. That's the way we're going to do it. We're going to do a bit of a Mark Webber multi-21 where he wound back the engine, just wanted to finish, get the job done. I mean, we could even pit and get mechanical things fixed because the gap back to 4th is huge. As for Grosjean, still traveling around. Grosjean's now. That's it, baby. Shoo! Grosjean has officially retired with a mechanical issue. That's all we had to do. We now have a mechanical issue. It is our gearbox. We could potentially pit now. Look at that. Wehrlein is still posting the fastest laps of the race, despite having a mechanical issue. What is going on? How far back is Gutierrez? 55 seconds. We're going to pit Rossi. We're going to pit Rossi and we're going to fix his car. We're going to pit. We're going to throw soft tyres. Will be 3 seconds. Let's just leave the current tyres on. There's no issues there. Get his gearbox fixed. Get the suspension fixed. Rear wing. It's going to add 34 seconds. 38 seconds. That's going to be fine. 2 stops left in the strategy. Yeah, that's fine as well. We may as well just put the other soft tyres on. Why not? And that's going to be us in a nutshell. Because the gap is that big, 55 seconds, there is no need for us to risk it and have a gearbox blow with only 3 laps to go. So I'm happy for him to fix everything. It makes our job after the race a lot easier as well, because less things to fix. Hopefully there's not a lot of mistakes. If there was a lot of mistakes, it's going to be dramatic. Maybe Wehrlein might even have... Wehrlein's pitted again. So Wehrlein is just pitted for soft tyres and fixed a mechanical issue, but still has some sort of a problem there as well. It's a good stop for his pit for the tyres. Gearbox is now being fixed. Wehrlein, again, posted the fastest lap. Or fastest first sector. Absolutely insane. There's Gutierrez. We are now rolling out. Where are we in relation to him? He's just going to be behind him. So that was perfected right down to a T. We can now go to medium mode knowing that we have no issues. There's no point pushing the car. If he gets close enough, I'll definitely start to push. But at the moment, there is no need to push. And you never know. Wehrlein might actually have a bit of a gearbox mistake on the last lap. And because we're only just ahead of Gutierrez, he might get greedy and want to push us for the lap. You know what we might do? We might go into overtake mode and attack mode on the last lap to get the fastest lap of the race. By getting the fastest lap of the race, we get additional 2 bonus points. So why not try to do that now? We've got the right amount of fuel on. We've got the car into the perfect conditions. The track grip, I thought it'd be at its highest because it rained earlier, but that's not going to be the case. We're going to roll around. Guang's still going to finish in 19th because of all the mechanical issues he's had and all the pit breaks he's had. He might just finish in front of Grosjean. Grosjean actually finishes 12th because everyone else got lapped. So here we go. Are we going to set the fastest lap of the race? That is a huge question. At the first sector, in fact, it's not even our fastest time around the track, which is a bit surprising because we don't have a lot of fuel on board and our tyres are at their peak and all of our park conditions are great as well. We've now set our own personal best second sector. Can we finish on a bit of a high? Will we even have enough fuel on board? Where is Gutierrez in relation to us? We've got 0.22 laps of fuel left on board. That should be enough to get us across the line. Will it be the fastest lap of the race? No, but it's a personal best of 1:36. That's okay. That's a good finish. So we got second position. That is amazing. And some of these no-name teams got up there. Polo. Who the hell is that guy? Never even heard of him before. He's probably some big superstar, but you know, that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. I've lost my voice. My voice box is officially gone. Ugh. That's fantastic. Guys, please give this video a thumbs up. That is a huge result for our team. Straight out of the box with a bad driver. Well, not a bad driver. An okay tier driver in regards to traits. Look at that. Wehrlein pitted with 2 laps to go. Much like us to fix everything. We were never going to jump him. Gutierrez finishes 3rd. Grosjean, who's going to be a championship contender, finishes outside the points in 9th position because people were getting lapped. He did 5 pit stops in relation to that. Look how many times he pitted trying to fix the issue. Couldn't get it done. What was the fastest lap of the race? It was a 1:35, and we did a 1:36, so we're not that far off it. Commentary feed, no need to see that. There's the 12 points for Wehrlein. Let's go forward, have a bit of a sticky beak. Does anyone get penalised? Surely there's no illegal components at the start of the race. Nope. So Grosjean still gets 2 points for qualifying first on pole. 2 points additional for Wehrlein. How's the standings going to be? That is a big result for us. 2nd in the Drivers' Championship. 2nd in tie with Haas. Guys, great result. I'm hoping that the chairman's going to be happy. Target is 1st, became 2nd. I don't know, what's the go? Is he going to be pissed? loading. It's actually taking a lot longer time than it usually takes to load. There we go. Driver trait should also go up, given the fact that we had a good result, and it is slightly going to go up. 6%. His happiness is only 26%, so that's not great. We're going to have to start winning races very quickly if we want to turn this into positive. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. This has been a Spot the Aussie race, the F1 mod challenge, even though we're in GP2 now. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll talk to you guys very shortly. Please give this video a thumbs up. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to see more, and I'll talk to you soon. Whoosh.